Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folane. Well, our guest this morning, sorry to be coming on a bit behind the schedule that we had intended to, but so we really must jump into it. Barrister Sly Ezeokenwa is our guest today, and many of you will know that Barrister Sly Ezeokenwa is the national chairman of All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. He's joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Barrister Ezeokenwa. You're on air.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, yes.
You can hear me clearly.
We can hear you very clearly. This is Yori Folane in the Lagos studio. Thank you very much for making time for us.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Our pleasure. Good morning. Now we're going to talk about the event, the second year of stewardship of
yes.
the Anambra State government, governor actually, because he's heading up the government, and this has been in the news for a few days, and so let's talk about it. You, as chairman of the party, I imagine that. You are quite satisfied going by what we have seen out there in the press as to progress so far. Would that be the case?
Yes, definitely. I think I can put it in a very modest term.
Yes.
That I couldn't have been more proud as the national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, on whose platform Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, was elected as the governor of Anambra State. Like you said, just 2 days ago, precisely on Sunday, the 17th of March, 2024, it marked or it clocked exactly 2 years that Governor Soludo took over the mantle of leadership in Anambra State. And as has been witnessed by all, and many persons who attended that function, because there was an actually a pontifical high mass to celebrate the 2 years of iconic and tremendous achievement by the Afghan government in Anambra State. You know, the testament, the testimonies, the accolades and the encomiums that have been poured on the governor by the people of Anambra State, by the Anambra in general, you know, from all strata or level of governance in the state, the commoners in the streets, the intellectuals, members of the National Assembly, members of the State House of Assembly, commissioners, local government chairmen, everybody, religious leaders, opinion holders, you know, even what is even more shocking, the revelations and encomiums that we are getting even from members of the opposition political party. You know, the other day, the State House of Assembly did did actually pass a motion to commend the governor for the remarkable achievement he's made in just 2 years in office. And then we saw the minority leader of the State House of Assembly, and that was quite shocking. The other day, we only saw a member of the House of Assembly from the opposition. So this is not just a case of saying, oh, these are members of APGA, or these are people who have been hired by the governor to come and sing his praises. No. Now we are hearing from the Anambra what these 2 years have been to them in terms of delivering dividends of democracy, in terms of delivering service, in terms of trying as much as possible to transform the affairs of the common man in Anambra State. And for me, these 2 years has been quite remarkable, quite tremendous, quite magnificent. Well, like I said, I couldn't be more proud as the national chairman of the political party of whose platform he was elected.
Indeed. And as is very well known, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo is an astute economist. He has held very, very high ranking office. He's a former governor of the Central Bank.
I'm just losing you. I can't really hear you very well.
Oh. Is it any better now? I sort of projected a bit more.
Yeah, it does. It's actually much better now.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying that, well, there are those who will say that, well, you know, a man that comes with as many as accomplishments to office as Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo did, people would hardly expect any less. I was just referring to the fact that he's an economist, and some of the things, if you just look at it, you can talk about, and we will try and touch on all of those one after the other with you. Roads, for instance, the road network in Anambra. There's the matter of security. There's the matter of urban regeneration works. Then we look at social and human capital, and then there's this whole question about Governor Soludo being very, very particular about fiscal prudence and frugality. So all of those things, maybe let's start from the top, because all of these things are very much in the air, that in the Anambra, and for that matter, anybody else who is watching the goings-on in Anambra could not but have noticed. Let's talk about the roads network that you've been working on, that your governor has been working on.
Yeah. You know, let me, like you said, first is to equally agree with you. Before Governor Soludo took over the reins of leadership in Anambra State, the expectation was quite huge. And that was why the victory was overwhelming. If you recall, out of the 21 local governments in Anambra State, Professor Soludo won 19, and then lost by just a very slim margin in 2 local governments. I think he was in Newi North and actually about the local government. Now, like you said, Governor Soludo took over against the backdrop of the fact that this was an accomplished economist, you know, a distinguished man who had been, first of all, the chief economic advisor to the then president of the country, then the de facto minister for national planning, you know, by virtue of being in charge of the national economic planning. Then thereafter, the governor of Central Bank for about 5 years. So now, there was this huge expectation, and I am quite happy and ecstatic that Governor Soludo has been able to repose, or at least justify the trust that people have actually reposed in him on the Anambra. Now, talking about the road network, if you recall, when Soludo was campaigning, the greatest demand made by Ndi Anambra was for him to do most of the roads, because then, for some obvious reasons, the state of the roads in the state was in quite some disrepair, where, you know, the majority of the roads that had been done in the past had virtually collapsed, you know, just leaving some snippets of road in good condition. So it was actually a total disaster around the state. And when Governor Soludo was campaigning, he did say that once he takes over office as the governor of Anambra, so the first thing he was going to do was to declare a state of emergency on the state of the roads in Anambra State, because it was actually hampering and hindering economic activities across the state.
Yeah.
Farmers could not actually transport most of their produce from the hinterland out to places where they are in high demand. And so immediately Governor Soludo took over office, at least in the past 2 years, we have, with the governor of the government of Anambra State under Professor Soludo, has been able to award about 450 kilometers of road, crisscrossing the entire local government in the state, the 21 local government. So you can't talk about any local government that does not have an ongoing road construction in each of the 21 local government. And what is very spectacular and remarkable about his style of road construction is that he is taking much of this road construction to the hinterlands, most of the neglected communities over the years, communities that have never seen even 1 square foot of starred road all their life. So you see people who have stayed up to 70, 80 years, they've never with their 2 eyes seen any square meter, not to talk of 1 kilometer of road passing through their community. Now you talk about roads moving from Amansi, just at the border between Anambra State and Enugu State, up to above Emili, one of the most neglected regions in Anambra State. And then on the other side of it, you now see another stretch of road. In fact, actually, the road from Amansi to above Emili is about 26 point something kilometers. Especially then the other one from Amansi to Ufuma is just another stretch of about 24, 25 kilometers of road. Then the one moving from Anambra East up to Anambra West, Nzam, then you get to Onono. Nzam actually is the only local government area in Nigeria that does not, in fact, the local government headquarters of Anambra West is actually in Nzam. And they don't have, so the local government headquarters cannot be accessed by road. Now, you can actually drive from the junction in Anambra East up to the local government headquarters in Nzam. And then talk about Okoto. Okpoko appears to be the worst slum, or what I call squalor, in the entire sub-Saharan Africa, where you have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people living in abject poverty. No pipe-borne water, no electricity, no road, no hospital. Now, the story of Okpoko has changed. And it's not just about constructing road, because I think the government of Anambra under Professor Soludo has been able to just do about 15 kilometers of road, crisscrossing most of the important streets and networks in Okpoko. And now there is the provision of solar street lights. So if you go to Okpoko at night now, you can see a difference. At least people there, and then it reminds me this very, very touchy poem by Professor Niyo Sundari about, if you recall, Day 2 at the Earth. And then the governor was there yesterday to commission about 12 kilometers of those roads that had actually been asphalted. And then he was at the emotional site. You see people coming out from their various homes to actually acknowledge and thank God for the life and gift of a man who is a transformer and who has actually brought governance down to the most vulnerable in the society. And that's what is remarkable about the Soludo administration in Anambra State.
And I'm sort of taking it for granted that those would have to be given the sort of the character and the competence of Governor Soludo. Those would have to be quality roads. I say this in relation to the Minister of Works. The Minister of Works who has complained publicly about the quality of work that is going on some federal roads.
That is even the much remarkable thing about these roads. Now, in Anambra State, we are seeing the quality of roads never before seen in the history of the state. So now you see stone base, you see sub-cement stabilization before the asphalting. And these roads have been guaranteed by most of the contractors to last about 20-25 years, minimum. So actually, we are talking about roads that can actually last even 50 years or more. But the guarantee that has been given by the contractors before they can even be mobilized is that this road is guaranteed. You see it publicly displayed on most of the signposts in most of these areas.
To what extent has the erosion problem that affects certain parts of the country, to what extent has that added to the challenge?
Yeah, of course, it is clear, like everybody knows, Anambra State appears to be the headquarters of gully erosion in Nigeria. Of course, if you check the landmass of Anambra State, I think Anambra State appears to be the state with the least landmass in the entire country. Maybe just comparable to Lagos. And like the governor will always say, while Lagos is actually expanding by trying to reclaim much of the ocean. Of course, if you go to Lagos, you see much of the Eco-Atlantic. It's just a human effort to reclaim some of the ocean and then build on it. Anambra State is actually shrinking by the day because of gully erosion. And as I speak to you, there are over maybe some 5,000 to 10,000 active gully erosion sites across the state. And of course, you are equally aware, if you get to the exclusive legislative list, you see that everything about ecology is equally there. But then, as a responsible government, there is no way that you're going to just fold your hand and say, oh, this is under the purview of the federal government, and therefore you're not going to do anything. And then, mind you, the most important thing or the most challenging thing for any administration in Nigeria, you are in Nigeria, is the binding resource constraint. And like the governor will always say, if you take the entire resources of Anambra State, that is the entire revenue or resources available to the state to do just erosion, in that case, you stop paying salary, you stop doing road construction, you stop providing hospitals, you stop virtually everything, just to cover or just to try as much as possible to fix the erosion sites in the entire state. I don't think you can do just more than 2 local governments. And that shows you the enormity of the challenge the state is facing. But then, in spite of that, like I said, the government of Anambra State, or the Afghan-led government in Anambra State, has not folded its hand to say, oh, there is actually nothing we can do because we have some other areas or sectors that are equally trying as much as possible to compete for these very scarce resources. And that's where the frugality, if I may use that word, and the prudent management of resources and wizardry of Professor Soludo comes into play. Because he has been able to achieve much because of trying as much as possible to cut all cuttables and then try as much as possible and then rechannel most of these resources.
We'll talk about that later.
And beneficial to the greater majority.
We will indeed talk about that just a little later, because I wanted to sort of link this the road situation.
The problem is that the problem is that all these things are interconnected.
They are. In fact, that's why I wanted to bring in security. I wanted to bring in security with the improved road network, accessibility across the state, and the challenge of security. I know that the Anambra State government is particularly proud of strides that have been made in improving security.
Like you said, we'll get to that point, but we are trying to talk about the challenges or the environmental challenges we are facing.
Oh, yes, but I did want to touch base on the two key headings.
The solution agenda. If you look at the solution agenda, you see environment occupies a very conspicuous part of the solution agenda. And then towards building, a very clean, smart planned cities, So now, these issues we are having with erosion, the state government has faced it square on. As at the last count, I think the state government has been able to intervene in over 100 erosion sites across various local governments in the state. But that is actually still not enough, because as the day goes by, we still have some other active erosion sites still coming on.
All right.
So using this opportunity to equally call on the federal government to equally come to the assistance of the Anambra State government in trying to tackle the challenges of erosion menace in this state.
Of course. Thank you very much. Barrister Sly, so much is going on in Anambra. I didn't want just one of about 4 or 5 things I want to talk to you about take too much of the time, so that we can hear about the strides that have also been made in security, for instance. This whole matter about, locking down on particular days of the week and all of that kind of thing. Talk to me about, efforts in that direction and the good that they have yielded.
Well, if you come to security, of course, that is the #1 on the solution agenda, governance, restoration of law and order. If you recall, because to actually understand and underscore the importance of the intervention the Soludo administration has been able to do in that direction, I think it is very, very important that we draw our mind back to how the situation, or how precarious the situation was before Governor Soludo came in. If you recall, the day Soludo declared his intent to contest for the office of the governor of Anambra State in his community, I think before the youth of his community, some unknown gunmen stormed the venue and actually shot about 3 policemen dead. That was at the peak of the insecurity in the state. And that was how that particular engagement ended that day. And they actually ended up kidnapping the brother-in-law of Professor Soludo, who was actually later rescued, I think, some weeks later. And that shows you the enormity of the challenge the state was facing. Now, there are 3 senatorial zones in Anambra State: the Anambra South, Anambra Central, and Anambra North. Anambra South, the entire 7 local governments in Anambra State was overrun then by these insurgents, if we may use that word, or these bandits and criminals. Of course, and an additional local government in Anambra North called Obaru. Now, in the entire 7 local governments in Anambra State, in Anambra South, the entire local government headquarters were raised down by these criminals. That was the enormity of the challenge. And then, in 2021, even candidates of various political parties could barely campaign. As I speak to you, one of the candidates, I think the candidate of Labour Party there, was actually kidnapped by this unknown gunman. Until date, the whereabouts of the young man is yet unknown. We don't know whether he's alive or he's dead. And the essence of taking you this memory lane is to tell you how terrible the situation was before Soludo came in. But as a determined leader, he didn't just cross his hand and say, oh, security, of course, the armed forces and the police are entirely under the purview of the federal government. No. So, through sustained effort in trying to reclaim much of the land from these bandits, in less than a year, the various camps of this unknown government in the entire stretch of Anambra South, they were sacked from all of them. And so, we now begin the rebuilding process of trying to fix back much of the headquarters of the various local governments in Anambra South. We've now deployed enormous resources, set up the Anambra Vigilante in such a way that I can speak to you now that in less than 6 to 7 hours, whatever that happens, yes, we can't say we actually where we exactly want to be, but I can tell you that the security situation in Anambra State has improved by over 1,000%, and I'm not exaggerating. That's why I try as much as possible to, first of all, draw an allusion or take us back memory lane on how precarious the situation was before now. Now people can freely move about the entire stretch of the state without any fear of favor or any fear of molestation or ill will or anything. People do their businesses, do all manner of transactions, traders or farmers can actually move their trade from one point of the state to the other one. And then there is a sustained effort at securing the entire border of the state across the other neighboring states. Because much of the issues we have now are incursions, incursions every now and then from neighboring states. But I can tell you that there is that determined effort by the state government in ensuring security.
Okay.
In fact, one of the remarkable things this administration did in that area was to actually set up an entire ministry. Because previously we didn't have the Ministry of Homeland. Now we have a Ministry of Homeland that is entirely dedicated to securing the entire perimeters of Anambra State. And I can tell you that Anambrians can actually go to bed without any issue and then sleep quite soundly, knowing fully well that they have a governor who is interested, because the primary objective of government is security of lives and property. Every other thing is dependent on security.
Indeed.
And that's why this government has actually done marvelously well in trying as much as possible to secure Anambra State.
That's certainly good to hear.